So thank you to everybody that's able to join, and welcome to the third edition of our Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight Series. Today we'll be joined by the teams involved in creating Heliswap, the Hedera Native DEX, and brainchild of MANTRA and Limechain to discuss the moves they're making in the space and how they're utilizing Hedera's infrastructure and native services to provide the first HTS and ERC20 compatible DEX on the network. We also have Tudor here.
Yes, thank you for the intro, Alexi. We do this Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight Series every 2 weeks, and to date we have had talks with exciting and blue chip Hedera projects that are in the NFT space, metaverse, and now we are touching upon DeFi. And we, as the first invitees for our DeFi discussions, it's great to have projects that are seasoned and experienced in building in crypto, as well as DeFi, and their experience in the multi-chain environment is something that we can all learn from when it comes to building on Hedera, since we're at a relative nascent stage right now. The Spotlight Series, as mentioned, happens every 2 weeks. In the odd weeks, we do have a Head Starter Pulse AMA. So we found a name for our insider AMA, and next week we will be joined by the founders of the Hedera now Hashgraph DeFi Alliance, and we'll be talking a bit more about the intricacies of the Sentinel project. So I'm excited for that. Of course, we have a few questions lined up for our panelists today, but for whoever wants to join in and ask your questions, feel free to request and we'll have you right on board. Cool. So without further ado, let's start looking at into the questions and getting to learn more about the panelists. Martin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So, as you know, my name is Martin. I'm currently living in Sofia, Bulgaria, and currently working for Limechain as a team leader for the Heliswap project. I have a lot of experience building web applications for the last 10 to 13 years, although for the last 2 years I decided to go into the Web3 area. And as I mentioned, I started working in Limechain and currently leading the team from Limechain side. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's it from me.
Nice to meet you, Martin. Thank you for the introduction.
It's great to have your experience in the Web3 space, Martin, and happy you could join us here today. Andre, it's good to see you again. How are you doing, and would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So hi guys, also thanks for the introduction of Heliswap and inviting us to speak here on Twitter Spaces. So my name is Andre. I am residing in Hong Kong, and we're working out of Hong Kong. I work for MANTRA and Heliswap, and at Heliswap I'm focusing on strategy and business development. And I have been really lucky to have been part of Heliswap since the beginning and see and tag along since the inception of the idea, follow through the developments from the ideation up to the current state that we're in now. A little about myself. So I've been following the crypto space for quite some time. I was working in a different industry before I transitioned into a more fast-paced environment, which is crypto. Before that, I worked in international organizations, a fintech company, and also very traditional companies, and that just showed me that crypto is the space to be because it's just more enticing, more exciting to be in, and if you're a hands-on person, I think it's a place where you can really drive progress. But maybe enough about me. I'm just, again, very happy to be here today and also talk with you guys a little bit more about Heliswap.
That's very interesting to learn, Andre, and I've got to say that if here in the crypto space, we feel like maybe from the outside looking in, people see a bear market, people see that everything is going sideways, there's not much activity, but underneath the surface, the projects that are here to build and that are committed to bettering the Hedera ecosystem from our visibility are heads down building, and it's been 1 day per hour all year. So happy that you guys are joining us here today, and I would like to touch, Andre, a bit about your history and about MANTRA, if that is possible. We know that MANTRA is a multi-chain, is spreading out multi-chain right now, and we'd like to learn a bit more about the history and your aspirations going forward.
Sure. So maybe a little bit about MANTRA itself. So MANTRA is a DeFi platform that, like you mentioned, is multi-chain, meaning that they exist, or the products exist on the Ethereum chain, on Binance chain, also on Polygon chain. Another thing that MANTRA is also doing is running a validator node business for proof of stake chains. And there we're currently validating, I think, somewhere around 25 plus proof of stake chains, which is quite interesting. And yeah, I think from a MANTRA side, the company itself is also working on quite a few interesting projects. And then Heliswap is one of them where I focus a lot of my time on and try to promote that space and see how that is going. But yeah, so I think that sums up what MANTRA is doing in a nutshell.
It's great to see that you guys have joined forces in building Heliswap, and it's obvious today how much work the two of your teams have put to get to the point where it is today. Limechain, we understand, is the company responsible for the building of the product. Martin, could you please tell us a bit more about Limechain and how it came that you solidified your position in the crypto space, offering solutions to DLT platforms, also building applications on top of DLTs and working with startups and enterprises?
Sure. Yeah. So Limechain started offering blockchain development services around 5 years ago. And I believe the company is relying on the proper culture, proper people who are eager to learn, to develop, and to delve into unknown territories. So the company managed to do a lot of successful projects, and I guess during this way managed to impress big companies, to attract significant partners. So currently we are working closely with the Hedera team, the core team. We working with the Kudos network, partnering with Polkadot, Ledger, and other big names in the industry. So as I mentioned, for our company, the culture is kind of the leading force, and this strive to learn and to create interesting and innovative things. So I guess this is the way for paving the road to a successful and reliable service company.
That's very well said, and I think I definitely agree that your reputation has been spot on and top notch, especially when it comes to Hedera, and you have a very long-standing history with Hedera. Is it anything more that you can disclose about how it has been working with Hedera over the years, and maybe what upcoming initiatives with Hedera you are most excited about?
Sure. So as far as I am aware, we started working with Hedera a couple years ago. I guess in the start we were only as a consultant. After that, they give us a couple of features regarding their network to develop, and I guess after that, more and more features need to be developed by us. And our current situation is that we have a couple of teams working with Hedera. We have a team working with their core team with the network. We have a team working on the tooling, all the apps and tools needed to interact with the network. We had a team working on the hashport bridge. It's a bridge used to bridge tokens, I believe, from Ethereum to Hedera network. And now we have our newest team is on the Heliswap DEX. So as you see, a lot of initiatives, and we are kind of spending more and more people on the teams. I believe this collaboration between us is going to be beneficial for the network, for the community. Yeah, so I guess a lot of new things are coming up, and I'm excited to be part of this collaboration.
As we are as well. We do believe that definitely between the fact that a team such as yours that's deeply entrenched in the Hedera SDK and the tooling as well has a very good visibility when it comes to the future of Hedera, and it definitely serves as a unique advantage for Heliswap going forward. We'll continue the conversation where me and Master Oogway will alternate questions towards our panelists, but to anybody else that might have questions, feel free to jump in and ask them. Alexi?
Definitely. Thank you for that, Tudor. And great answers from both Martin and Andre. Very exciting to hear what you guys are working on with Hedera. And this one's for you, Andre. What actually led you to building Heliswap on Hedera, and how do you see yourselves meshing with the Hedera ecosystem?
Sure. Thanks for that question. That is a very good one. So I would start off by saying I think there are quite a few reasons for everyone to build on the Hedera ecosystem, on the Hedera network. And I think first and foremost, we think and we really strongly believe that the network itself has a lot of potential for the future. And that stems from, on the one hand, from the hashgraph technology itself, as it is very interesting and unlike any other technology out there. It's also not a blockchain per se, but just competing in that space. And then on the other hand, we also see that Hedera was focusing first on being incorporated into all the big corporations first. And there they have been very, very successful. So they have attracted a lot of big corporations and have established partnerships. And so that basically means that we know that big corporates and corporations already like the technology and are really happy to use it. And we just see that the next logical step in that area or in that aspect is that we all need to pull together and make it usable for the retail customer. So given that Hedera network only recently developed their smart contract capabilities, or that has been like a very recent development on the Hedera network, we just sought to build like a product that generates real value for the network and also helps to promote its usability. And to put it a bit metaphorically, I heard that from someone, and I quite like that metaphor. It's like there are currently a lot of big fish in a small pond, and the idea is really to just join forces and make that pond bigger so we can all thrive.
That's a nice one, Andre. I haven't heard that one before. No, it's great, fantastic answers. Great, great to have you here.
Thank you.
So I do definitely. In Hedera ecosystem, we're at a relatively nascent stage, as mentioned earlier, and there's Heliswap has had some amazing performance over the past week or so since launch, with close to 6 million in TVL, if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked. And definitely Hedera is a unique player in the crypto space. It always has been building with regulations and sustainability in mind. What other role do you guys see that Hedera can play in the crypto industry going forward? and maybe which are some of the other unique selling points that Hedera can offer, especially when it comes to DeFi.
I believe one of the selling points is the fixed fees. I believe the fees are fixed in US dollars, which makes using the network very predictable. For me, this is a huge benefit regarding making DeFi apps. You can have a lot of transactions on the same price, which is nice. You can do a lot of things, moving liquidity, staking, swapping tokens on a predictable rate, which for me, it's kind of a benefit for DeFi usage. Maybe another benefit of the network is that it's not a new network. It's kind of reliable and already put into the wild, if I can say so. So a lot of people could consider this as a benefit because it's already kind of proved. So yeah, and maybe another reason is that the DeFi here, it's kind of a new thing, and I guess it could attract a lot of new people. So I see a lot of eventual growth here into DeFi space. So for me, these are kind of the benefits for making DeFi on this network.
That's a great answer, Andre. Do you have any other things you might want to add?
Yeah, sure. So I think Marto already covered like a great section of it. And I would just like to emphasize maybe one point that you also mentioned already is that, well, to some extent, the DeFi summer that happened on all the other blockchains out there was a little bit missed, but we can definitely see that is slowly rolling up and in the coming on the Hedera network as well. Right, like we see all these different projects out there. We see NFTs, what is it, like dead pixels, and most recently the hangry baboons that have just sold out amazingly fast. So we can definitely see like a lot of hype in that space, and I think the DeFi Summer 2.0 on the Hedera network is yet to come.
Certainly, I must agree with that, especially looking at the very lucrative APRs that are currently offered on Heliswap. Normally, you wouldn't have seen these in let's say 1 year before, or when crypto was a bit more on everybody's lips. So I do think that we have yet to see the growth of the Hedera ecosystem, especially when it comes to DeFi. Probably there's a barrier to entrance, and probably when MetaMask support will be available, we're going to see a lot more users come in and lock their USDC, their stable coins, their crypto in Hedera protocols. When it comes to sorry, Alex, go ahead. You get it.
No, that's great, Andre. Thank you. And I have a question for Martin. So you've been in the business for a while, of course, working on multiple chains. So what are some of the learnings from past experience you can share with us about DeFi on other chains? And what do you recommend projects building on Hedera do?
So I have the luck to work for a previous client. He used to have similar, not a DEX. He offered a very interesting liquidity mining as a service solution. So working with this client, I had the opportunity to learn about the fundamentals of the DeFi. Not just the basic principles, but with the technical details which are needed in order to create a stable DeFi solution. So there are a lot of difference between the Web Web2 and Web3 development, and I managed to learn a lot of tricky things, a lot of technical details, which were very helpful during the development of Heliswap. So my recommendation is first to know the basic of the DeFi, the basic of, let's say, the constant product formula, how the DEX are working, what is liquidity mining, how it's exactly working. So this should be kind of the first step. And the second step is to learn the other technical details related to smart contract development, how to interact with smart contracts, how to use big numbers, making conversions, etc. There are a lot of interesting things and small details which are crucial. So yeah, this is gonna be my recommendation, and maybe as well to be aware of how to build sustainable infrastructure, which is going to support all the services needed for building such a solution. We had a kind of challenges doing that. So for me, it was an interesting experience, and I learned a lot. And for future projects, I'm gonna reuse all of these learnings in order to make something that is stable, reliable, and interesting for the users.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely very important to have a product that is sustainable. And speaking of, I was hoping Andre could tell us a bit more about the Heli token and how it is used, not only now, but how it will be used in the future in the Heliswap DEX.
Sure, absolutely. Do you just mind? I would like to add one more thing to what Martin said. Obviously,
Of course, go for
everything
it.
that he said has like super valid points. Maybe in contrast to when everyone was rushing into the DeFi space a couple months ago or a year ago, everyone was just trying to really push out their products as fast as possible to reap the benefits. And we saw a lot of exploits and whatnot. And I think given the current market conditions, the space is quite a bit more down, right? So people really have time to build and battle test before they go to market. So I think that is also quite crucial that you just take your time, evaluate, obviously take all the technicalities. I mean, I'm no tech guy, so I cannot really speak for that part, but just make sure that it is fully functionable before going live, so you don't encounter certain issues after it potentially is too late.
That's some very excellent points, Andre. I think definitely the projects that are coming out right now in the so-called crypto winter are the more serious ones and the ones that ultimately will prevail once the world comes around, let's say. And since you mentioned it, would any of you like to touch a bit upon the audit that you guys had done on Heliswap?
Sure. I mean, in regards to the audit, I think so. We collaborated with Hallburn, and I think they have done quite a very decent job and did some rigorous auditing on our platform. So we're just making sure that everything is going pretty smoothly. Again, I'm not the tech guy here. I think Marto can explain a bit more, maybe in terms of the issues that have been very minor that they highlighted. But if people are interested in seeing more on that aspect, they have also, I think, posted on their YouTube channel a quick intro into Heliswap and Hallburn on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, there's more and more crypto auditing companies that are now exposed to Hedera. There must be at least 3 of them now. So it's great that you guys, especially since you have a lot of TVL responsibilities when it comes to the people's funds being locked up in your smart contracts, it's great that you were able to go over this this hurdle and offer security to the people that are contributing to the overall TVL on Heliswap as well as on Hedera.
Yeah, definitely. But also, I think it needs to be mentioned that auditing is one part of the game, right? But then there's also continuous auditing that is conducted internally, and we just try to have the latest security measures and comply with the latest security standards. So that obviously means using multi-sig wallets, using custodial services for treasury assets, for example, and then obviously the audit as well.
Spot on. So since I think everybody will be very interested to learn a bit more about the Heli token and how it is intended to be rolled out and used inside your platform, especially learning how serious you guys are about security and staying consistent when delivering the product.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe let me start off by saying, so like you guys mentioned already, the DEX itself is live, the functionalities are given, it is usable, it is out there, people can go check it out on heliswap.io. The token itself is not yet launched, and that is in the making, and we're working on that. But Heli, which is going to be the native token of Heliswap, is serving as a transferable representation of obviously several utility functions attributed to it. Currently, the main functions are governance, liquidity, and also staking. And it is built using the Hedera token service, which we would like to highlight that it is HTS token, and it will also serve as the kind of backbone of the DAO structure, while also rewarding active users of the platform for participating. Because MANTRA is based out of Limechain and Heliswap as well, we have a maximum hard cap of 888,888,888 tokens. That is based on the fact that 8 is like a lucky number in Asia, and those tokens have been allocated to different buckets that will be gradually released over the next 60 months or over the next 5 years, following the emission schedule that everyone can obviously check out. That is all published. And maybe one more thing is, like, due to the nature of the Hedera network, the vesting period is linear and linked to the time that passes rather than to the blocks. So maybe to give a practical example, the Heli token will be used as a reward token for the supporters of the DEX that provide liquidity, that also use their LP tokens on our platform and stake those. Another more tangible example would be that once the DAO is established, the DAO could vote on activating the fee switch. That is because Heliswap, or we are like a modified version of the Uniswap Me2 protocol, and there's also a so-called inbuilt fee switch that, for example, the DAO could vote on to turn on. And that would also be beneficial for all future Heli token holders, because additional revenue that is generated via this fee switch is just going to benefit the people that hold the Heli token. And looking into the future, or looking ahead, the Heli token will have more functionalities as we go about expanding the platform and building more features to make sure that the Heli token amasses more utilities and functionalities as time passes.